Welcome back. If it has joined us to watch the news at 10 live on Channels Television, Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Inspector General of Police orders manhunt on kidnappers of Enugu Catholic priest and 5 pastors of the Redeemed Christian Church of God abducted today. President Muhammadu Buhari insists Boko Haram terrorists have lost their insurgency campaign in the northeast, but admits the group has opened up new forms of threats in other fronts. FCT High Court Director of Finance dies in Abuja flood as residents call for government's intervention. And NATO to avoid a new arms race with Russia after US formally withdraws from a key nuclear treaty with Moscow. For more information on our top stories, please visit our website channelstv.com. YouTube.com/channelsweb has videos of our shows. Also, watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores.
I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
17 members of the Bauchi State House of Assembly have been sworn in by the Deputy Speaker, Danlami Kawule, at the House of Assembly complex today. The newly sworn-in legislators are aggrieved members who held a parallel election during the inauguration of the House of Assembly in the state, where 2 speakers emerged. This latest development is coming after one of them presented himself for swearing in on Monday. The House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee had launched an investigation into the crisis. The Bauchi State Governor, Bala Mohammed, says the peace enjoyed in the state legislature is as a result of the intervention of traditional rulers and political stakeholders from the APC and the PDP. Temporary respite may have come the way of those already dreading the traffic gridlock that would have trailed the rehabilitation, reconstruction and expansion of the Burger-Kara axis of the Lagos-Ibadan dual carriageway. That's because the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing today announced that work would still go on as planned, but starting on a new date being September 2nd. According to a statement by the Federal Controller of Works in Lagos, Engineer Adedamola Kuti, the road project is ongoing and neither the contractor nor the federal government have any plans to close any section of the road. He explains that the intended reconstruction and expansion work is designed to start as part of the ongoing work on the entire stretch of road. The reconstruction work was earlier scheduled to begin on Saturday, August 3rd. US President Donald Trump dropped yet another bombshell on Thursday, slapping fresh tariffs on the remaining $300 billion worth of Chinese goods imported to the US. The proposed new tariffs would cover almost all Chinese exports to the US and impact a huge range of consumer goods. China's foreign ministry has pushed back against Mr. Trump's latest tariff threat, saying Beijing would have to take countermeasures.
U.S. President Donald Trump vowed to impose a 10% tariff on $300 billion of Chinese imports from September the 1st, sharply raising the stakes in the brazen trade war with China and jolting global financial markets. The announcement on Thursday extends Trump's trade tariffs to nearly all China's imports into the United States and marks an abrupt end to a temporary truce in a trade row that has hurt world growth and disrupted global supply chains. Trump also threatened to raise tariffs further if China's President Xi Jinping fails to move more quickly to strike a trade deal. China, in its response, says it will not be blackmailed and warns of retaliation. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Hua Jinyong says Beijing will not give an inch under pressure from Washington.
This move severely violates the consensus the 2 leaders reached at Osaka. It deviates from the correct path and is not constructive towards solving the problem. We are resolutely opposed to this and express our strong dissatisfaction. If America's plan to add these new tariffs becomes a reality, then China will have to take the necessary countermeasures to resolutely protect the country's core and the people's fundamental interests. The U.S. will have to bear all the consequences of this.
Possible retaliatory measures by China could include tariffs, a ban on the export of rare earths and penalties against U.S. companies in China.
Now be joined now on the news at 10 by Mr. Paul Alaje, who is a senior economist with SPF Associates on the significance of Washington's latest tariff on China. He's in our studio in Abuja. Mr. Alaje, thank you for joining us on the news at 10.
Thank you for having me.
Well, the U.S. president has been threatening more sanctions on China and has finally done it, 10% on $300 billion worth of Chinese goods. This further escalates the trade tensions between the two countries, don't you think?
Yeah, clearly it will escalate the trade tension between the U.S. and China. As we speak, the U.S. government is alleging $500 billion trade deficit as a result of trade between the U.S. and China. And it's also claiming $300 billion loss to intellectual theft, intellectual property theft, IP theft, and also allege a number of issues which include cyber theft, etc., etc. America and China had agreed 1st of December 2018 to reduce trade war by agreeing that issues and gray areas will be cleared. We only saw yesterday that perhaps most of those agreements are not so much have been done to that, as President Trump claimed that the Chinese counterpart, the president in China, has reneged on most of the agreement and deals that were signed among the two countries. So what we have right now is perhaps additional 10% on 300 billion US Chinese imports to the United States. We hope, just like China has mentioned, that there will be negotiation. But if China further retaliates by counter increase in tariff on already increase on US product or US goods, we might be having some level of tension around the globe. Of course, we have started seeing such tension because IMF had revealed growth for global trade because of China and US trade war.
Right.
And also Japan, as well as South Korea trade dispute, which says that it will account for almost 0.3% reduction in global growth projection, which was said in 2018. That has been reviewed from 3.6 to 3.3 in 2019.
So is this supposed to be, I don't know, will this be good news for us, Africa, concerning our relations with China, knowing that China has such influence on the continent, found in almost every country where they're, executing some project or the other?
Please, can you take that again?
I'm asking how this will also affect China's trade with Africa, where it has much of its investments in the country, on the continent, beg your pardon, about $60 billion worth of investment in Africa over the next few years, it has promised. So will this tension between China and the U.S. affect China's trade relations with Africa?
And the effect will go beyond U.S. and China. Definitely Africa and other continents in the world where it will be negatively impacted. It's only those who will serve as alternative to counterpart country that will benefit from all of this. So Africa, if it's not very careful, might also take part in sudden price increases and reduction in investment across the globe. What we might see in the coming period, perhaps 12 or 24 months from now, is another global economic meltdown, which has been warned. And that was why the two countries agreed to cease fire in economic war 1st of December 2018. So what Africa might be expecting, particularly those whose supply chain largely depend on Chinese import and American import, might be faced with reduction in supply, which will have implication on prices. And if prices increases, while supply of commodity has not increases, that will not be good economics.
So how then do countries like Nigeria take advantage of a situation like this?
Yeah, how Nigeria can take advantage is look at what U.S. is exporting to China and what America is buying from China, or what China is buying from America, and see how we can become that viable alternative So one of the things U.S. sell to China is their fruit. We have Benue State, where we have on an annual basis a lot of losses as a result of not preserving our fruit, and some of these fruit are not meeting up with international standard. If government at federal and state level would agree and see how Nigeria will benefit from this trade war, which I think might last a while, because America had said until China decide to buy more of American product, and Chinese government says if it is not necessary, we will not necessarily buy. If you threaten us with tariff, we will also retaliate with other round of tariff. So Nigeria needs to position by saying, what is it that China is buying from America, or what is it that America is buying from China? If Nigeria don't think this way, then we might be suffering from the effect from this dispute among these two large countries, or big economic countries.
Mr. Paul Elijah, thank you so much for speaking with us on the News at 10. I appreciate your thoughts and analysis on the issue of U.S.-China trade relations. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me.
When the News at 10 returns, NATO to avoid a new arms race with Russia after U.S. formally withdraws from a key nuclear treaty with Moscow. That will be in Around the World in 5. Stay with us.